the next piece is like the tools. Like you got to have the right tools. And honestly, the key to having the right tools is not knowing just what to get, but when knowing not to get. Because people are buying stuff and they think it's going to solve their problems.
Ooh, that's really good.
They're like, oh, I need this plugin. I need this plugin.
Say that again, dude.
So
Oh,
so it's not about what. So it's the second module is not knowing what to get, just what to get, but what not to get. Like think about that. Like people are buying
so
plugins and they don't even know how to use them. They just throwing them on there. They got a compressor and all these other crazy plugins. They don't know what they're doing. Like I'm not saying you shouldn't stack on top of those things. I think for me, to be quite candid with you guys, I'm growing in that. Like the plugins you guys are using to mix, I'm like, yo, I could utilize that. Like my ears are trained for that now, right? So it's like that same concept. Like there's so many things that are already free, like your DAW plugins for crying out loud, or like free plugins that you should be using to practice instead of spending your money on that, right? So spend the money on the ultimate beat. I mean the Pro Beatmaker Formula course, and don't spend it on a plugin so you can learn how to make beats, right? So it's like that concept, right? But yeah, so that's like module 2 right there, bro.
dude, that is straight fire, bro. As far as like the thing you said about like what not to get is just it's so crucial because when you know what not to set your focus on, you can like because the thing is and I believe I can't remember who said it, but nevertheless they said that focus isn't about what you focus on, it's about saying no to everything else. And so you have to understand that like if you fill your computer with all of these plugins, all of these VSTs and virtual instruments, and you get option paralysis. You have no idea where to go from there. And also another thing is like people will, and I did this, yeah. You will fill your computer with so many free plugins that every time you go to reach for a compressor, you're like, I forgot I had this one. What does it do? And then you start going down this rabbit hole that just isn't very helpful.
I made a video about this on my channel the other day, but it was literally like, but before you buy new plugins, make sure you learn the ones you have. Every time you learn the ones you have and you've exhausted their purposes, then you're allowed to go up to the next level. And that's why, like you see the lots of the pros at the top. Like if you watch any of the mixing with the masters stuff or anything like that, you see a lot of paid plugins. And and in my videos and in all our videos, there are going to be paid plugins that pop up. But it's because we've mastered the stock plugins, and now we know we can get more out of the next plugin. But if you haven't figured out and spent the time really and you kind of naturally just reach for the next thing, and then you get some jobs working on music, and then you're upgrading, and then and naturally like you build up your stock of plugins that way. But you have to get to know the stock plugins first, and then once you know them, okay, try out a paid plugin, try out another one, and it snowballs. But you can't jump all the way from not knowing anything to jumping all the way to the end and buying the paid plugin and expect the results that you're seeing from those mixers, because those mixers could get an awesome mix with the stock plugins the same way that a awesome beat maker could create, like you, for example, could create a great beat with like one small folder of samples. Like you could figure it out and make some absolute fire just with your skills, your knowledge of percussion patterns, your knowledge of like interesting melodies, your knowledge of how layers interact with each other and what gets best results, versus a brand new beginner having, the entirety of the splice library to work with. You will still get the better results because you've developed those things. So it's not about the tools. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, man, that's definitely
Isaiah, when you go to buy another plugin, do you run through any questions in your mind before you like make the decision on another plugin, or are you just like reaching to a point where you're like, this sounds amazing, I just want to grab it and go for it and don't think anything of it?
So honestly, I've reached to a point where I literally have a list of things I'm going to knock out and get, right? Because it's like, okay, I want that. Like this is not the first time of me hearing this, like actually being used in a way that I could utilize it, right? So it's like, write that down. I need that, right? So that's kind of how I do it. Like I'll write down the list and then I'll knock it out like honestly, it's kind of like subconsciously. It's like, oh, I need that because it's like it's already written down, right? So I write stuff down at this point. But honestly, I'll be real. Like for those that are new, I'm telling you, you don't need them. Like we just said it, but I'm telling you, I've been doing this for like almost 7 years. You just don't need all this stuff. Like you're gonna know when you need it. Like I promise you, you're like, yo, I need this. This is gonna help me with because I'm gonna start working with an artist next week, and I'm thinking of a specific plugin I need right now, and that's how I'm doing it. It's like, okay, I need this, I need that, and that's how I would do it. I mean, I know it's kind of sounds like like you're kind of like limiting yourself, but I don't know. I disagree with that. It's like take your time. Like the resources are right at your fingertips already as it is. Don't keep buying more stuff. So
that's been my experience too, man. It's like. If I would literally be doing mixing jobs, and I wouldn't buy the plugin or get to know it until I actually like needed it. Like for a long time, I was just tuning vocals using Melodyne, for example. But eventually, along came the song where an artist really wanted that auto-tune sound. And I didn't bite on spending the money on autotune because I could do something really similar in Melodyne by just flatlining the pitch tool. Yeah. But I finally didn't have a choice, and it was like, okay, now I've graduated into a new genre, and given like this was some time ago, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna have to get a really autotune sound for this one. Now I'm gonna get it, But it was only when I really needed it that I got it, and then I was forced to figure it out, and then I had it as another tool in my set going forward. But I didn't just buy everything off the bat and then just have it there and be like, "That I'm good now." Like it's you grow as you go.